lap of VIR North. So let's take a look at some of the opportunities to improve upon this time. We'll be starting with roller coaster, which encompasses turns 10 and 11 heading down towards hog pen. So on the left is the fastest lap, which is this lower example. On the right is the fastest example through this sequence. The initial delta that we're looking at is half a second. And what we're doing here is we're braking later, which will help us carry more entry speed into the corner. So we have a 4 mile an hour advantage in the faster example. So this additional speed that we're carrying at turn-in helps us keep weight on the nose by trail braking all the way to mid-corner. So we're faster, chipping away at this delta on entry by carrying higher speed, and we keep weight to turn better. So on the left in the slower example, we're taking a different approach of squaring off the corner and taking advantage of our lower min speed here, which is 3 miles an hour lower, to get more turning done, to get us better pointed for the exit. So this allows us to unwind the wheel earlier, which you can see because there's more of the mile an hour gauge visible, versus on the faster example, we still have steering cranked in because we're still turning at the mid-corner. And because we're still turning, we're using more grip, which leads to less longitudinal grip. So we're not able to get to throttle as soon, which you can see here in the G-force meter. So this results in this being the lowest point in the delta. And from here on out, our faster example will actually be losing time to the fastest lap. So this means we're making a trade-off of gain 4/10 on entry, lose half a tenth on exit, which gives us a net opportunity of 3.5 tenths. So here we are in the slower example, braking from a lower speed, getting to a lower min speed, getting our turning done early, getting back to throttle slightly earlier, which gives us a slight exit speed advantage as we head down towards hog pen. In the faster example, carrying more entry speed, keeping weight on the nose by trail braking, getting us down to the mid-corner, holding that steering in, unwinding, getting to gas slightly later, which gives us a slight disadvantage as we head down towards hog pen. All right, so looking at our second opportunity, this is the same on north course and full course. We'll be looking at turn 1 as it rolls down towards turn 3. So same setup with the slower and faster, slower being the fastest lap, right being the fastest example. And we're entering this turn the same way. So our initial delta is 3/100ths. And on the faster example, we're carrying the same speed, but we're trail braking deeper into the corner. So this means we keep that weight on the nose and we're slowing ourselves down further, which means we're going to push less in the entry phase of the corner. So all this is going to add up here to give us better positioning mid-corner by gaining rotation through the trail braking. And there's some evidence of this in the visual. So you can see here the mirror on the right hand example is covering up more of the trees, meaning we're better positioned for our exit because we've gotten more rotation at this point in the corner. Through all this, our delta actually rises to 2/10 because we're doing more rotation early on, but now we start to take advantage and get a higher initial exit speed by getting on throttle earlier. And you can see that disadvantage is going to be chipped away by this exit speed advantage that we have. And this carries down the whole straight. So we can see that delta in the lower right is already green. And despite giving up that 2/10 on entry, we make up for it by gaining 4/10 by the time we're at the end of this straight. So here in the slower example, we're getting to a later apex, later gas, which means we're slower down this straight because we carried all the entry speed in. So now we'll take a look at the faster example. And here we're trail braking more, getting rotation done early, getting back to gas earlier because we're better pointed for this exit, and we're gaining that delta back on the lower right, you can see there. So I'm just tapping the mirror to let someone behind me know that I see him. So this last opportunity is unique to North Course. We'll be looking at turn 7, which is an uphill right-hander. And here we're same setup as it has been for the other opportunities. You can see we're similar speed, similar position. Initial delta here is plus 4/10. So similar braking as well as we get to the turn-in part of this corner. You can see that arrow. But what we're going to do is we're going to apply more trail braking similar to turn 1, which gets us better rotation at initial turn-in. And you can see here the speed difference is emphasis of that trail braking. So now we're tighter to the inside curbing and better rotated up the hill. And what I want to show you is similar lines, which are the same length and angle, but you can see where the end of that line ends up, which reflects how we're better positioned to get up out of this hill. So now we require less steering input because we did more rotation early on. You can see in the left, on the slower example, we've got steering angle cranked in. On the right, we're already unwinding the wheel. So now in the faster example, we can get to throttle earlier. And we can see that because our min speed has already started climbing to 50 versus 48 in the slower example. And this turns into a similar thing to the last opportunity, which is a continued exit advantage all the way through what is essentially a straightaway heading towards the crossover. So now, better rotation on entry leads to greater exit speed, which is worth 2/10 by the next turn. So looking at the video, we can see here, we're getting a little bit deeper on entry, not getting as much rotation, which means we're later to unwind the wheel, later to get on the gas, which means we're going to be slower through this whole essential straightaway leading to this crossover section. Faster example, more trail braking, better rotation, getting tucked into the curbing. We can unwind the wheel, get on gas earlier, and we take advantage of getting on gas earlier all the way to this next crossover section. So all that's worth 2/10. So these three opportunities are worth almost a second on their own, which presents the opportunity to lower my personal best from a 147.46 to a 146.60. All right, and that concludes it.